Hi, Niko Ana Jeanne here, and today on the third video of the 5-part series of Understanding Narcissistic Personality Disorder, we're going to talk about a hallmark trait of someone who has an NPD, and one of the big hallmark traits is a lack of empathy. So I want to talk a little deeper about that because what I want to say is that we all might have kind of a different definition of what a lack of empathy looks like, or we might even have a different definition of what empathy actually is. So I just want to clarify this because anytime you're coming up against these kinds of behaviors, a lot of times they're so subtle or they can be so enmeshed in other kinds of behaviors that they're hard to detect, they're hard to label, they're hard to extract out of what else is happening. So what I want to say is that there are the really just obvious kinds of behaviors that are reflective of a lack of empathy, which is when someone just really is just obvious, they just don't care how you feel. I mean, that one's not hard to spot, right, you guys? So someone just really can't give two craps about how you feel about something that's happening to you. Or in the world or in general, that is obviously a lack of empathy. Now, it can also be associated with a lack of compassion towards others. That might have a little different tone to it. It can be obvious in that some people who are really pathological, like sociopaths, might actually enjoy other people's pain. They might enjoy causing people pain or watching people be in pain. And, this is sadistic. So that goes into a pathology of sadism, you can see how I'm saying there's all these different levels of a lack of empathy, but we're not talking about those really highly pathological levels right now. What we're talking about is how it shows up in seemingly functional people. And seemingly functional relationships, as in you may think they're functional and healthy, but maybe you're starting to realize that they're not. And so one way it can really show up is in a very subtle way, in that you might notice that this person tends to minimize your own feelings about things that are happening to you or to others. They tend to invalidate your feelings. They tend to maybe even just kind of gloss over and redirect the conversation back to them. A good example of this is if something is upsetting to you and you're in a relationship with someone, and this person, you tell them, this is really making me feel, upset. This has a negative impact on me. I'm feeling upset about this. Then they just immediately will say, well, what about me? It's doing this to me. Or they'll just tend to really just kind of skip over your feelings. They'll tend to almost not even notice that you have any feelings at all. Anywhere from that to just say, well, why do you feel that way? What's wrong with you? I mean, there can be instances where they might just completely invalidate your feelings in a moment. And that's considered to be a lack of empathy. Okay. So those are also more obvious types of lack of empathy. Now, there's also something that you can encounter, which I consider to be false empathy. So if this is something that comes up a lot, is that people might say, well, I suspect this person might be a narcissist, but they're really empathetic. I mean, they seem like really compassionate people, so they must not be. Well, not necessarily, because this is another thing that can happen, is that certain types of narcissists can appear to be empathetic in other relationships towards other people other than you. So a lot of times, this can happen a lot with the covert, vulnerable narcissist. They may have a different way of interacting with people who they're intimate with, their intimates, spouses, family members, versus, say, their friends. So they may appear to really have a lot of empathy towards other people in their lives, but then when it comes to you, they don't have that same empathy. They don't, or they may even in a situation, let's say, where your feelings are involved and then someone else they know is involved and they have a relationship with both you and this person, they will choose to side with this other person's feelings over yours. They will tell you, they did not do that to you, or, oh, that's just because, so and so is like this. And again, so they may seem to have empathy in some ways, but what really matters in your relationship with this person is how it affects you. So we're talking about a relationship that you're having with someone. Really and truly, the behaviors that are happening between you two are the ones that matter for you. So if they're unhealthy, even if this person isn't displaying them in other relationships, that doesn't really matter. So that's another sort of false empathy that you can see. Another thing that can happen is that a narcissist can actually fake empathy when it will serve them. So let's just say you're going through a phase with this person where maybe they have been withholding or kind of ghosting you and you haven't heard from them, and they've disappeared and you're just like, what's going on? And then you sort of go on, and then here comes the bait, the trying to pull you back in, and there's a sort of a bait that comes out towards you, and it may appear in the form of like a really personal inquiry, like, oh, I haven't heard from you in a while, just hope you're doing okay. I know you've been going through that rough thing or whatever, or I was wondering if maybe you were upset about so and so, and I just hope you're doing okay. And does that sound like empathy? Yeah, it sounds like empathy. It really does. But it's really not. It's actually just a bait to pull you back in or get your energy in there so they can extract a narcissistic supply. Now, how do you know if it's fake empathy or not? Well, you're going to know, because what's going to happen is once you actually take the bait and you move back in, you'll notice that very quickly the topic will shift. Or once again, then when you're engaging with this person, that lack of empathy is there again. So it'll be pretty obvious once you see that pattern. So you guys, it's really kind of hard to navigate these relationships, and you end up getting this cognitive dissonance, which cognitive dissonance is just a word that really means like you're getting all these mixed messages and it's confusing, and the confusion sort of just stops you and causes you to doubt yourself and causes you to, stand in your truth or take action or have boundaries, So it can be really confusing when a person is displaying behaviors towards others that are one way and then another way towards you. Or again, they're displaying this fake empathy towards you in one moment, and then a few days later, they're displaying a lack of empathy. It's very confusing. But what you want to do is you want to do this. You want to look at an overview. So think about this relationship from an overview standpoint. And you want to think about, this is what healthy people do, okay, you guys? Emotionally intelligent people will look at a relationship and they'll say, how does this person show up consistently over time in my life, right? Is this person consistently showing up for the most part like this, whatever that is, like with empathy, with support, with some type of consistent behavior that I know I can count on? Or is this person sort of erratic in the way they show up? Or does this person, consistently show up with a lack of empathy for me? Again, so you really have to look at it like in an overarch to determine, is this relationship really healthy? And is this person actually, someone that I need to stay in a relationship with? Should I be continuing to engage this person, putting my energy, my time into this relationship? Or are these behaviors consistently toxic and causing me harm, stress, causing me all sorts of negative consequences? And should I do something about it? So those are some really good questions to ask. Again, just, you guys, you just have to really take your time. You have to really just know that this process of kind of gathering this information together, assessing your relationships, kind of looking back and taking some accounting of the behaviors that have been happening, this is a stage of understanding what's been happening in your relationships. And it's okay to just be in this stage and maybe not know or not be sure. Okay. It really is okay. You're safe right where you are. You're safe in this stage. And I totally understand how that can feel. So with that being said, you're certainly welcome to leave me some comments below. You can also go to my website. You can reach out to me there. I have a free masterclass that's coming up next Wednesday, and I'll put the link in the comments or in the description below this video. So if you found this helpful, please do subscribe to this channel. I would really appreciate it. And if you want to just start doing some work to calm your nervous system and release anxiety, which anyone that's dealing with a narcissist is going to have anxiety in their nervous system, go over to my playlist for tools and look for EFT tapping and meditations that can just start helping you relax your nervous system right now. And that is a really important part of healing, is just starting with yourself and just releasing anxiety out of your nervous system in general. All right. Thank you everyone for joining me. Have a beautiful day. May you be at ease and no joy. Bye-bye.